Hey, this is Shane, the host of From the Shadows podcast, and I'm here with Jason, the super producer.
Greetings, everybody.
And the one and the only resident skeptic, the Ozarkhowler.
Hey, I'm here.
Can you guys tell the excitement of the howler? No, all right.
You know me, man. I try to under-promise and over-deliver, right? So I don't need catchy. Hey, I don't need catchy phrases. I don't need snappy hooks. Ain't no clickbait with me. Okay, it's the real deal.
There you go.
Well, for all of our new listeners, since we're a new member of the Odyssey Radio Network, we'd like to invite everybody to stick around after this short intro and check out what we like to call the Midweek Howl. And what the Midweek Howl is it's just our little story time with the Ozarkhowler, in which we try to lighten your week up a little bit with a 10-15 minutes of laughter. So stick around, laugh with us, enjoy the stories. No harm, no foul. So just be ready to go to a world that you probably hoped didn't exist in the world.
And expect to be entertained.
Expect to be entertained. So you got it. Do you have any warnings or?
No, you know what though, I wasn't. But what I was going to say is, so maybe after I just told you there's a hook, there's no hook, there's a hook. You know, I think I said it earlier on the last one I did with you guys. You know, I got a story for almost everything. You know, because I was on the street for almost 30 years, so I got a story for everything. So if you got a subject, send it to From the Shadows podcast, and I'll tell you a story about
it. Yeah. And for those new listeners, the Howler has 30 years of being a sheriff, a highway patrolman, air marshal, a homeland security, and probably a lifetime of just being an all-around funny dude. So
redneck, man, redneck. There you go, redneck.
So we hope that you give this little segment a chance and go check out the Howler. And like you said, if you got some stories that you guys are interested in, asking about, or if
he's going to have to send it to you guys because I'm not on social media, so it's got to go.
Yeah, he's not on social media. So if you really want to say some good stuff about him, we'll share it with him. If you say some bad stuff about him, don't waste your time. He won't ever hear it. He's kind of fragile, so we won't let him. So with that, thanks for welcoming us onto the Odyssey Radio Network, and we hope that you enjoy the show.
So Howler, you're telling me that you got into an accident last week?
Yeah, that's cramped this week's Howler because I'm driving up the street in a nice, quaint neighborhood, kind of not too far from my grandma's old house. My grandma's passed on, but then when you're driving up those streets where you kind of grew up and rode your bicycle, you're looking around these old, houses and kind of remembering how stuff was going and that sort of thing.
Yeah, reliving the younger days, man.
Yeah, so I'm looking up and there was some older people getting out of a minivan. So I was going about 15, 20 miles an hour, maybe. Well, not very fast at all. But I got in the middle of the street because these people are getting out of this minivan, and they're more worried about their footing than oncoming traffic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, I'm on the main street. All the intersections were stop signs when I was a kid. So out of nowhere, boom, there's a car in front of me, and I hit her. Okay?
Oh, man, that's bad.
When I say I hit her, she was crossing the intersection, and I think she was trying to beat me. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Because she was driving a new Malibu with temporary license. She just got it. And I hit her in the right rear tire, right at the quarter panel tire. And I spun her out, and I look up, and there's a car there. And as soon as I see it, I hit the brakes because I had a little about 4-foot skid marks. I overrode my anti-locks, I guess. But she spun all the way around and was facing the wrong direction, like it looked like an LAPD pit maneuver or something. And my truck is making all kinds of noise because my fan is now into my fan shroud, if that makes sense to you mechanics out there.
Yeah.
So I shut my truck.
I can follow along, but I'm no mechanic. But yeah.
Okay. I shut my truck off. Immediately call the non-emergency number at the police department because it's been a long time, but some numbers you never forget. They answer the phone, and I'm sitting in the intersection. I tell her we got a non-injury accident at this intersection. And next thing you know, this old woman is at my door saying, "We saw everything." She was flying down the street, and they fly down the street, and they drive too fast, and don't pay attention to them signs. And I said, "Okay," and I whispered to her. I whispered to her, "Okay, I'm on the phone to the police department because the police department's asking me all these questions. You know, what kind of cars she's in? What kind of car am I in? What's my number? What's my call? You know, just all this stuff." So, and either the headset or my headset, there was an echo, so it was like I was giving all this description into an echo box. You know, white Malibu, 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 and white GMC pickup.
Just making this. So you got the old lady in your ear, you got the echo in your ear.
And then the old lady starts telling me that her husband's a retired fireman and her son's a cop, and on and on and on. And I said, "Okay, hold on." So finally, the police department says, she said, "You sure nobody's hurt?" And I said, "Well, the other person," I said, "I don't know. I haven't talked to her, but she's standing out here on FaceTime with her phone. So I guess she could be on WebMD getting an opinion, but I don't think." So across the intersection is a big old shade tree. So I started my truck up and pulled up over into the shade. I just stopped and I sat in my truck. I didn't get out of my truck for the longest time. But I got my window down so I can hear the gal that I was in the wreck with, because she's got this other gal on, I call it FaceTime, it could have been Skype, or one of these software deals.
Yeah.
That I can hear who she's talking is. She's telling this other person, "Well, I didn't see the yield signs because there's trees in the road. There's trees in the way." And then the other gal says, "Well, you tell the police that them yield signs are for him, not you." Like, that's going to make all the difference in the world, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, right then and there, you should just open up your checkbook and say, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry."
Yeah, I'm sitting in my truck, and now I'm watching in my rear view, and here comes the old woman back. Now she's at my door, and then I look into my rear view, and then now there's an old, what ends up being an old retired fireman walking over there. He's got his union ball cap on that says International Association of Brotherhood of Firefighters or whatever it is, And I'm watching him walk up, and the wife says, "Don't let him fool you. He's a lot faster than that." So he walks up to, because I'm just sitting in the truck. He walks up the truck door and he says, "How bad's your truck?" I said, "I don't know. Something's hitting the radiator. The fan shroud's in the radiator." And he said, "Well, start it up." Like he gonna second guess my diagnosis. So I started up, and it goes. He goes, "Shut it off." So what?
Oh, oh God!
So I shut it off. Huh?
This is fantastic.
Do what?
I said, "This is fantastic, man. This is like."
Then he says, "Pop." He says, "Pop the hood." So I pop the hood. Well, you're not leaking anything, so I get out, and I'm standing up there with him, and here comes the cops, and they're in one of them Explorer things, black and white. I mean, I'm in a 50,000 person city, so I mean, it's like real cops. And the old fireman watches him drive, and what he does is he drives up the street. He goes the direction I was coming from, makes a U-turn. He goes through all four ways of the intersection, if that makes sense, winding up behind her car. So he's trying to figure out what everybody saw, what the intersection is from his car before he ever gets out. You tracking what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And why he's doing it, the fireman says, I don't remember what the guy's first name is. He said, that's Chad or Shane or something like that. And he says, he's got a little man syndrome real bad, so don't say too much to him, but he'll be okay. And what?
Well, like, what do you got to worry about? Somebody put it out in front of me.
Well, this old man looking out for me.
All right. Okay.
This kid gets out, and he's short, but he's stout. I mean, he's got big old arms. And the first thing I noticed on his left forearm, he's got a big Marine Corps tattoo. Now, this is odd because when I was a cop, they didn't let you have tattoos, right? So I don't, so I'm kind of in a flux on my describing tattoos that some of these cops have now. Because when I was a cop, you had to have all your teeth, no piercings, and no tattoos. So
wait a second. We've got lax on the teeth part now?
Yes, you had to have, back when I started, you had to have all your teeth. So when you went to your physical and stuff, if you were missing a tooth, you had to at police academy day, you had to have a filler or a fake one or an implant or something, but they were not going to let you walk out there and represent the community with missing a tooth.
Oh, okay. I guess times changed. All right.
So that's old school. So he's got some tattoos, and he looks like you called down Central Casting and said, I need a tough looking cop. You know what I mean? And she immediately starts chirping to him. You know what I mean? And he's not saying nothing. He's writing a little bit. He gets her driver's license. He talks a little bit to her, and then comes over and gets my driver's license. He says, what happened? I said, he said, what was going on? I said, I was just driving up the street and I looked up, boom. Okay, so you were driving, you weren't parked. And I said, no. I said, I left a couple skid marks. And he stops right there and looks right in my eyes and says, I'm a trained accident investigator. I know what skid marks look like. Thank you. So,
oh, gosh.
Okay.
Yeah, rock on, brother, And he goes back and talks to her, and they get into it a little bit. He tells her to just shut the phone off because whoever's on the phone is trying to tell her side of the story to him. Does that make sense? Because he's wanting to hear her side of the story, and she's wanting to go on the phone to tell her that side of the story. Huh?
Yeah. Well, maybe that's because she was on the phone with that girl while she blew Pat through the yield sign.
More than likely.
And that person had a
car shows up. So her friend, the one he's on the phone with, shows up.
Oh, jeez.
And she wants to get up. Now, I'm still underneath the shade tree, leaning up against my pickup truck with the fireman. Okay? And he calls us, but the cop calls us both over there. We exchange our information because he give us a little card to fill out. It had your insurance stuff. Back in my day, you filled it out and handed it to each other. Now they give you a blank piece of paper that's got some lines to fill out, and each driver fills out their own information. So anyway, I filled out all the blanks in mine. So, but when she handed me hers, it was missing some stuff. Okay, but whatever. And he also gave her a ticket for failing to yield right away, and she went ballistic. So,
it's amazing.
So she went, Go ahead. It's amazing what?
It's just amazing having that kind of self-entitlement.
Yeah, it's just amazing that you can blow past a yield sign and just not the one thing not be. I mean, did she ever once ask if you were okay?
No, my God, no. I did. I asked her if she was okay, but she never asked me. So anyhow, I had called for a tow truck almost immediately. When I hung up the phone with the police department, in between the fireman walking up, I called, because I'm from here, I called the record that I wanted to come and get it, flatbed, my truck. And so my tow truck's pulling up, and he comes over and says something to the tow truck driver, and then she goes again. She goes, hold on, officer. I know what happened now.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
And she tells him another story. And he says, well, now, a while ago you told me, because I guess the original story was I was parked, I was stopped, and then as she was driving by, I just hit the gas and jumped in front of her.
Oh, for God's sake.
And hit her. And then she was saying, well, I want you to measure his skid marks because he was flying up the street. And his cop says, well, a while ago you told me he was stopped. Now you tell me he was flying up the street. So,
well, it's a good thing that guy was a trained accident investigator.
Yeah.
Well, hey, it gets better than that because he comes back and he squares me away a second. So he goes and talks to the witnesses, the old people that was getting out of the van, and the fireman that that was sitting there helping his wife and this other guy get out of the van. So as he's over there talking to him, this other driver, she says, why the hell are you talking to them? Ain't none of the damn business. They didn't see nothing.
Well, she's just trying to run the show out there, ain't she?
Yeah. So I'm standing there while the tow truck guy's loading up my truck, and the fireman got done talking to him, and he came over with a bottle of Coke, one of them little baby bottles, it's like 8 ounces or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Said, can I, he brought 2, one for me, and he was going to give the cop one. The cop says, I can't take it now or something, because he knew my name because the fireman's kid's a cop, right? So I guess the cop knew who he was or whatever. So the tow truck shows up for her. They're loading her stuff up. Now they're loading my stuff up. They haul her car away. She gets in the car with a friend of hers showed up, and they leave. So then the cop walks over, takes the Coke, and is standing there. And I forgot what he said. He said something, and I retorted back something about the accident. I don't remember what it was. It was something meaningless. You know what I mean? Like, they were stop signs when I was a kid, now yield signs or something like that. And he looks at me again real straight-faced, and he said, I'm a trained accident reconstructionist. I know what the traffic control devices are. Some bullshit like that.
So
Cool.
the guy had no personality.
None whatsoever. And I said, how long have you been a cop? And he said, 14 years. I said, I used to. I don't anymore. And I said, what did you do in the Marine Corps? And he goes, how'd you know I was in the Marine Corps?
Oh, boy. Now you're on his radar, man.
I said, well, the globe and anchor tattoo on your arm kind of gave it away. Yeah, I guess so.
Well, I have one prediction here. Is that this cop 20 years from now will not be a podcast host telling fantastic stories about his days
yeah. Hey, so this is the best. So my insurance calls me. So I got her. She gave me her policy number, but didn't tell me who the policy was with.
Oh, gosh.
Right?
Okay.
So there's nobody for me to call, right? So the next day, my phone rings, and it's her insurance, Progressive, and they say, hey, we're looking for so-and-so. I said, yeah, this is me. Well, you were involved in an accident? I said, yeah, I sure was. Well, our insured so-and-so. And I said, okay. So can you tell us what happened? And I said, yeah, I'm telling them the abbreviated version of what I just told you guys. Okay. Well, is there anything else you think we ought to know? I said, yeah, there's traffic control devices. She failed to yield and she got a citation. Oh, okay. Well, have you called your insurance? And I said, no. Well, why not? And I said, well, because I didn't, I was going to wait till the police report was done because she gave me her policy number, didn't know who was with. And when I was standing there with them, I did not feel comfortable confronting her about her lack of information on the form when I knew I was going to get my information in the police report in a couple days, right?
Mm-hmm. I understand that.
You should call your insurance. And I said, well, and tell them what? I was in a wreck with this woman that couldn't fill out a freaking shared information form. She didn't put her freaking name on it. She put her insurance policy. 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever.
Sounds to me like she's constantly trying to calculate on ways that she can get out of it.
Within about 30 minutes, my insurance calls and says, we've received a claim on your policy for an accident. I said, a claim for me? Yeah. Okay, well, what happened? I'm telling them what happened. And they said, okay, well, she's saying it's your fault. And I said, I don't care what she says. What do you mean you don't care what it says? And I said, I know what the police report's going to say. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I said she got a ticket, so I know what the judge is going to say, right?
Right.
Well, we're going to leave this in limbo until we get the police report, and they said it's going to be a week, 3 to 5 business days, or 5 to 7 business days, whatever it was. And I said, okay. And they said, well, but she's got a problem with coverage. And I said, when her insurance called me first, they said something about her coverage. She's got insurance, but they have problems. They don't know if they're going to extend her coverage. And that's a term in the insurance world. It means they don't know if they're going to pay for the loss, right? So the short version is this, fellas. She was driving her car either because her insurance person told me it was either Uber Eats, or DoorDash, one of the three. But she said she couldn't tell me which of the three.
Oh gosh!
And she didn't have a commercial endorsement, so they denied her. They're denying me my claim on my truck because even though she's at fault, she didn't have the endorsement for using her car to make money. So they're saying no.
So on that note, you're going to get screwed for minding your own business, obeying the law, because somebody else couldn't do the right thing.
You know, part of me, I thought that for a few hours. Okay, so and then her insurance called me and formally gave me their decision that they don't care what the police report says, they're not going to pay for my truck. And I said, okay, you know, and you know, the gal said, well, now what are you going to do? Are you going to try to go back on your policy? I said, you know, I just got liability on my truck. I mean, it's a pretty nice truck, but I just have liability on it. It's a long story, but when I bought it, I was going to switch full coverage from my old truck to my new truck. I just never did. I bought my truck before I sold my old truck. So instead of switching, I added it and I just never, whatever. And I said, you know, I have fortunate enough to have the resources to fix it, that, you know, maybe I should just thank the Lord that, right? That, you know,
I think the real gold nugget in this is that her insurance is definitely not going to pay her.
Yeah.
So she's out of car and you'll be
right.
all right.
Absolutely. So, which is another reason. So technically I could go down to the driver's license place and file this claim, and they give her 90 days to pay my damages, or they're going to suspend her license and do all this rigmarole. But you know, she's got to worry about Capital One or whoever financed her car, right? So they're really going to harass her, unlike me. And as I think I told you earlier this morning, you know, my lawyer buddy called me about something different, and he said, well, you know, I'm telling him the kind of story, and I said, you know, I got about $1,200-$1,500 damage on my truck, and if I went and filled out all that paperwork to try to lean on this poor chick that's clueless, okay, it would put me in a bad mood the entire time. Filling out the paperwork, getting it notarized, going down to the license bureau, I would just be in a mad for days.
Yeah, I would be too. I understand.
And I said, you know, I've just decided it's not worth it to be mad for days over this little fender bender, right?
Well, let's just look at it this way. Number one, thank God they did not realize the celebrity they were in the presence of.
That's right.
She could have been like, oh, my neck, my arm,
yeah.
I'm suing. Number two, it gave you a great story, no matter if the outcome wasn't so great for you. But I'm sure it's a story that everybody listening can relate to. So, and number three, she has no clue that we're talking about her. People all over the world are going to know what a terrible
right. Well, I don't necessarily say she's terrible. Is the fact that she is of a different generation. I hate to sound like my dad or my grandparents, but she is of a generation that doesn't even know what a yield sign is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about that for a second.
Well, I'm going to go, listen, there's nothing dumber than the state highway or county highway road departments taking out a stop sign and putting it, or a traffic light or something that's always been there and replacing it with a yield or something like that.
Well, down here, they roundabout. That's the thing now. They want you to feel like you're in Europe. They got these roundabouts in these places now, and it's like, really?
Those things are dumb as I don't know what.
Roundabouts are great, man.
No, they're not.
Oh,
they are far from it.
They are great.
They've caused more accidents already than they're worth.
Oh my gosh. We're going to go up and find one, and we're just going to drive around.
And not all roundabouts are created equal.
No.
Because if you're driving in Europe, the roundabouts be 2, 3. Sometimes in India, I've been in roundabouts 4 lanes. Okay.
Oh, that would not be good. That would not be good.
But we got these like micro roundabouts. They're barely big enough to get your car around. You know what I mean? And it's just, and then everybody wants to stop, and everybody wants to. Some of them turn. Then we've got one down here by my house that's a painted roundabout. So they made the roundabout, but instead of having a berm in the middle to keep people from crossing the middle, they painted it yellow. Right?
No, that okay.
So it's like a 5-way intersection or 3. I don't even let me think. 1, 2, 3. It's a 3-way roundabout. It's a 3-way intersection, but that everybody just drives through the middle. Okay, like me, I drive right across the yellow because that yellow does not deter my fly tires on my pickup. But there's some people that, by gosh, they're going to stay in that 9 foot of asphalt outside the yellow. So, which makes it even worse because now you got one dude who wants to drive around the outside, and the other 2 people all want to cut across to go the direction they want.
Mm-hmm. Well, on that note, I will. We'll end this episode because a little behind the scenes. I'm actually on my lunch break at the post office recording this. So, we got to do what we got to do to bring entertainment to the masses. So are you?
Go ahead.
So I'm glad that we could squeeze some time in here to hear that story, and I'm glad. Hey, and I'm glad that you're okay.
Hey, next week we're gonna have car crash special because I'm gonna talk. I got a couple good car crash stories. We just didn't have time to do them.
Good. So, we'll be looking forward to it.
All right. We're looking for the car crash because we thought about the car crash donation jar to help you, virtual donation jar to help you pay for your damages on your truck.
That's right. Well, I wanted to do the T-shirt that says "Yield signs are for you." Because I know my howler audience don't yield to nobody. We're full speed ahead.
That's right.
All right. Well, I can't wait till next week's episode for the car crash special.
Absolutely.
Let's hope none of us have another story to add to that pot between now and then. All right, stay safe, everybody.
Okay.
See ya. Ladies and gentlemen, a final word. Please visit us on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/From the Shadows Podcast, and on our Instagram page at instagram.com/From the Shadows Podcast. You can visit our webpage at FromTheShadowsPodcast.GoDaddySites.com, or contribute to our Facebook discussion page called After the Shadows, and tweet us on our Twitter feed at twitter.com/podcast_from. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to hearing from you all. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.